Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Well then, let's get to it. What are we waiting for? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today's episode is going to be a wild ride, so hang on tight. This is dealing with consciousness, shift, or struggle. I'm going to share something with you that you may or may not already be aware of. If you're aware of it, I trust this episode will shed just a little more light on the subject. If you're not aware of it, you may find it very uncomfortable and even difficult to digest. Please do your best to open your eyes, open your mind, take an objective look around, and see for yourself that what I'm sharing is true. As I'm sure many or most of you remember, the Great Consciousness Shift began back around 2012. You remember all the commotion about it being the end of the world and so forth, which was obviously not the case. But we heard all kinds of crazy fantasies and rumors about that time, didn't we? What I would like you to understand is that all of that stuff, the end of the world, the doom and gloom, all of that fear-based stuff was an orchestrated distraction. It was purposeful in order to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Why? Because when you are in fear, when you are uncertain, when you're doubtful, your vibration is low, your heart is closed, and you are in survival mode. This means that your energy chakras are only activated in the lower centers. It means that you're releasing stress hormones into your body. It means that the ego is able to be in overdrive due to the heightened arousal of the brain due to the stress hormone chemicals, as well as the mind going into overdrive. You see, that served to cover up the amazing positive shift that was about to start taking place. Now, contrary to what many New Age gurus professed, it was never going to be an instant awakening of all humanity. That's just simply not how a consciousness shift works. The Great Consciousness Shift is a gradual change. It's the gradual rising of humanity's vibrational frequency and awakening to the reconnection to our true selves, our essence. As our consciousness arises, because that is our true self, right? Pure conscious awareness. And as that consciousness arises, the ego is then subdued. But a lot of New Age gurus professed that this was going to just happen. You didn't have to do anything. It was just all of a sudden humanity was going to start to rise this way. It's not really the case. You have to have some sort of practice in place to attain what is actually referred to here as the consciousness shift, as the actual awakening. In other words, you have to be meditating. Don't get me wrong, I'd love it if everybody just could have it magically happen. But unfortunately, all we have to do is look to history and we can see that that is not the case. So many times throughout history, various empires were faced with the same type of time, and they either fell into extinction or they succeeded in attaining the consciousness shift. One of the two. And today, right now, every one of us are on the precipice of the same choice. We are at this crossroads right now. We've been at that crossroads. We remain at that crossroads. And it's up to each of us to make a very conscious choice as to our future. And you may find yourself thinking that, that whole shift thing just didn't even happen. It was just all made up just like the other stuff. But I assure you, that is not the case. The shift is very real, and it's still happening, just much more slowly than anyone predicted. The thing is, there's a reason for it taking longer than expected, and it's not a natural occurrence, but the meddling of a particular massive group of people in the world. Yes, they seek to hold down the consciousness shift. You see, it's not really being slowed down as much as it's being artificially suppressed in the hopes that they can prevent it entirely. You may ask yourself, who on earth could possibly want to suppress such an amazing, magical time in human history? Well, history tells us it's always those who crave power and wealth that ruin the world. And when everybody is craving that sort of thing and the ego gets out of control, the empire falls into ruin and its inhabitants fall into extinction. Just look to those in power who are pushing what's called a deep state globalist agenda, and you'll have your answer. You can use whatever description for them you want, but they are the unelected government and those working with them who are at the core of this. Now, I don't intend to go all conspiracy theory on you, but you do need to understand that the term conspiracy theory was actually created in April of 1967 as part of a psyop by the CIA in order to discredit anyone who challenged the narrative they fabricated and placed in front of the people. Do just a little research for yourself and you'll see that that is indeed factual. Think about that for a minute. Use that as the foundation to understand everything else that I'm going to share with you here. It's all part of the illusion that most people blindly accept as reality. These people, and when I say these people, all you have to do is follow the money, the degradation, and the corruption, and you'll see who I'm referring to. They like to call themselves elites, but I think they're far from that. But they're those people who are actually running the world, and believe me, they are aware of spiritual matters, and they seek to prevent the consciousness shift from taking place in order to keep their corrupt, illusory system in place. The incredible thing, the thing that still blows me away, is that this has been documented. It has been spoken about. If the consciousness shift unfolds as it's meant to do, the world will have no need of them. We won't have any use for them anymore, and they are not going to give up all that power and control. They'd rather die. Excessive greed and power warps the human mind to the point of being pure evil. That is where evil resides, is in the minds of warped men and women. I could easily lay out 2 to 3 dozen ways they're attempting to prevent the consciousness shift. And indeed, I've actually shared a few of these in previous episodes of this topic. And I have no doubt that there are more that I am unaware of. So I'll let you look into this further for yourself if you choose to do so, if you happen to be interested in finding out the truth. With even a modicum of investigation, you'll soon see what I'm talking about. Chances are, you're already well aware of this on some level. You may have that gnawing feeling about it, or some sort of foggy realization that something's not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it. You know what I'm talking about? So many people do. Well, you need to trust that feeling. That feeling is a gift to you from your consciousness, from your pure conscious awareness, from your essence. It's not easy, I know, but the most courageous thing we can do is to listen to that intuition, to listen to that feeling, that voice, to know that something's wrong, and then to follow the trail and see, to know for ourselves. For many, this is the first point of awakening. So let's examine the consciousness shift from two perspectives, or more accurately, two stages of awakening. The first stage of awakening is the awakening from the great illusion. The great illusion is an external, meaning out in the world, intricate web of lies that have been placed in front of us to cause the masses to form certain beliefs and accept certain fabricated narratives as actual reality. In the past, a sort of awakening occurred when you realized that many of the things you learned in school, you learned in church, and from well-meaning family and friends just wasn't true. This is an important stage of awakening because it's here that you begin to become inspired enough to seek the real truth, while you continue to develop the ability to see through the grand illusion of society. This is a normal and healthy stage of spiritual development. The problem we have today is that another layer of deception has been purposefully placed over the usual illusion in a calculated attempt to lower the vibrational frequency of the masses and lull them deeper into a state of mental sleep. This has nothing to do with paranoia either. If you take an objective look around, it's glaringly obvious. Those with a sinister agenda to prevent the consciousness shift explain to the masses that what they're doing is in their best interest. It's to keep them safe. It's to keep them secure, mostly from a threat they themselves have created and unleashed upon the people. However, much of it is nothing more than a lie. The more rights you surrender, the more safe and secure they promise to keep you. They plot to make you dependent upon them because then you'd never dare rebel against them, and they can use that to make you dull, to make you lazy, to make you compliant. They know, too, that the easiest way to manipulate and control the mindless masses is through their ego. They use this in the military. It's been well documented. Perhaps this is why they push the, quote, resist, unquote, movement. It's a struggle, and resistance and struggle serve to inflate the ego and put you in survival mode. The more inflated the ego, the deeper the belief of the illusion and the easier you are to manipulate and control. Now, I would recommend replaying that section and think about each one of those things a little bit, and then look around for examples of them. Maybe you'll see them. Maybe you'll choose not to. For those who have their eyes open, you can't help but see it. It is so in your face right now. It used to be that they would keep this kind of secret and keep it in the shadows. It's no longer the case. They're both desperate and brazen. And in so doing, they are actually revealing the truth to anyone willing to look around. Remember, we have to be ready and we have to be willing. Right now, I witness so many people who are simply unwilling to wake up. Well, the consciousness shift can't do it for you. If you're unwilling to wake up, you will remain asleep. The first stage of awakening is to see through all of the external illusion in the world. All of the things we're taught and told and come to understand as reality, as fact, as truth. And then we realize that they're actually not. That they're nothing more than speculation, opinion, or misinformation. Whether it's well-meaning or not, it's still not reality. And most of the time, that's very, very difficult in itself to wake up from. And right now, this is a stage of awakening many people are in. Many people are starting to awaken to this external illusion, and it's even being referred to as an awakening. However, it's mistakenly being referred to as awakening in the grander scheme. That's not the case. It's only the first stage. It's only the external that you are awakening to, the external illusion that you are now seeing through. That is an awakening. And it's an incredibly important stage in the awakening process, but it is not the totality of awakening. That has to happen from within. But we're still seeing all kinds of people waking up. All kinds of people, all areas of life, all areas of the world, all age groups, they're waking up. Now, unfortunately, because of this artificial agenda being pushed on the people, we're also seeing a number of people who are strongly choosing, to fall even deeper asleep than they were before. Do you get this? Do you understand that there is actually a war on for the consciousness of humanity? Think about that for a moment. There is a war happening right now for the very consciousness of humanity. And as we see, people are choosing sides, whether they fully realize what's happening or not. Religion and politics are two of the biggest forms of external illusion that exist and shape the beliefs that are created around reality, which is actually a fake, false, phony reality. The second stage of awakening, as I said, takes place within. This is a stage when you go inside and begin to develop the ability to see through the great delusion that the ego-dominated mind has created for you. You know, that prison disguised as a palace. I think it's called a comfort zone. The comfort zone is a prison created by your own ego to keep your essence from rising into dominance. This way the mind can remain the dominant force. You mistakenly believe this prison, that it's a wonderful, cozy palace where you're safe and secure. Right? The ego wants you to feel safe and secure. Where have we heard that before? Starting to see the big picture yet? In your comfort zone, you stagnate. You wither. You surrender your life to the ego as it jumps in and lives life for you, quite literally in your place. Your ego is the false you. The essence is the real, true you. But people have a tendency to erroneously believe that their ego is actually them. That's right. You believe that your ego is you, but it is not. This is the grand delusion. The mind that is run by the ego is filled with delusion. You see reality in the way you want to see it, fabricated through the eyes of delusion, instead of the way it truly is. This delusion, along with ignorance, is what they mean by being asleep. This is what we're trying to awaken from. The ego, too, wants you to feel dependent upon it. After all, without your ego-contrived identity, who would you be? Would you even exist? You wouldn't dare rebel against yourself, would you? Once again, haven't we heard that scenario before? I seem to recall that. Now, we have to understand then that this stage of awakening is where we get into true spiritual awakening. This is where we allow the ego to dissolve, we reconnect, we remember, maybe that's a better term, to our state of consciousness, our true, pure conscious awareness. And then we live from that space instead of from the space of mind and ego. That is the awakening. That is the primary source of awakening. But now we have 3 points. First, we have to wade through all of the illusion that has been placed in front of us by well-meaning people in our lives, trying to educate us, trying to help us, but in turn, they unconsciously end up putting their beliefs and their opinions on us that oftentimes just have no bearing in reality. And they might even have an agenda. Then we have to peel back this other form of illusion that is pure deception that is being placed on top of the normal illusion we have to get rid of. We have to clear all of that illusion away so we can start to see clearly. And then, of course, the third is being able to see through delusion. So we have 2 layers of illusion and a layer of delusion, which is a pretty big layer, to get through in order to fully awaken. This is what it means to fully awaken. Don't be fooled by a number of people out there right now that are stressing that, if you're able to see through what this deep state government's doing or this person in the government's doing or whatever, then you're awakened. That's just a facet of it, right? We have 2 areas, illusion and delusion, we have to get through in order to become awakened. All that stuff that's going on right now, that's just illusion. And that's what we're trying to wake up from. And that's important. We need to be able to wake up from that. We need to be able to see what's going on because we can use that as fuel to inspire us to go even more deeply and awaken more completely. This is the consciousness shift. So what do you see through first? Do you wake up to the illusion first or to the delusion first? It doesn't matter. They're interchangeable. Some of you will awaken through the delusion first, and then that'll prompt you to see through all of the illusion. And others of you will first start to see through the illusion and then go into practices that will lead you to see through the delusion. That's fine. You see, it doesn't matter which one you see through first. It's your individual journey, and it's meant to unfold for you in your own unique way. Either way is fine. Either way, you end up at the same place. That's why I don't teach a particular way. I don't tell you to form beliefs, just the contrary. I recommend that you don't. I recommend you don't form any beliefs. As a matter of fact, I have a process to help you get rid of beliefs and take those concrete beliefs, turn them into something fluid, and from there just let them float downstream, right? Just go away. So beliefs are detrimental. We don't need them. So I'm not asking you to believe anything I say. I'm asking you to look around for yourself. I don't tell you to have faith. I suggest that you acquire knowledge and experience in order to attain your own unique brand of wisdom. When you have wisdom, faith is a non-issue. I don't tell you to take my word for anything. I ask you not to. I ask you to go out and see for yourself, to know for yourself, to experience for yourself. This is how you know the truth through your own truth. All I do is supply you with the necessary tools in the form of meditative practices and authentic meditation that are designed to allow you to succeed in your own unique way. It's not necessary to join the struggle, to resist. Most people interpret what is meant by resist. They think it's resisting a leader or a particular person or a particular party or whatever. It's far more than political, trust me. What's meant by resisting is that they are resisting the consciousness shift. They just hide it within the illusion of politics. Do you really want to resist your own consciousness shift? Is that really what you want? Because when you look around at all those people that are hashtagging resist, putting the bumper stickers on their cars, carrying their signs that say resist, look at their behavior. Look at their behavior. They are going in the opposite direction of awakening. They are going deeper into a state of mindless sleep dominated by ego and controlled by these diabolical people with an agenda to suppress or prevent completely this consciousness shift. They're using religion and they're using politics as a way to distract, as a way to hide their true intentions. But they've revealed their true intentions. Like I said, do a little research and you'll find it for yourself. And trust me, I know. I wish this wasn't true. I wish it wasn't the case. But I can't deny what I'm able to see, what I'm able to know. And it is truly a point in human history where truth is so far beyond stranger than fiction. But we are all faced with a choice right now. Yes, that's right. Whether you feel like you have the choice or not, you have the choice. You can choose to resist and struggle, or you can choose to shift and awaken. The struggle is the way of the ego. The shift is the way of essence. The time is now. This is truly happening. Join the real movement of human harmony, of true unity, and get on board with the great consciousness shift. The time is now. We are at the tipping point. Earth is about to become either hell on earth or heaven on earth. It's all up to us. It's all up to you. It's up to me. It's up to every single one of us. This is why I ask you so relentlessly to please share these podcasts. Share this information. Get this out there. Make sure that you play it for your friends and family. Have them subscribe to it. Have them go and start to put it out there on social media. We want to make this heaven on earth. We want to have our birthright of the consciousness shift. Think about if you were able to experience that in your lifetime, if your children were able to experience that at their ages in this lifetime. Imagine how incredible this world could be. I've made the choice for heaven on earth, and I'm doing everything I can to create that. And I have created that for myself on a personal level, along with my wife. We live that way. We feel that way all the time, even amongst all of the craziness going on in the world. What we have is heavenly. That is what I would like for each of you. I would like you to experience that. And I would like you to know that as your children grow up, as my grandchildren grow up, that they get to have that too. Isn't that a legacy worth leaving? Isn't that something worth passing on to future generations? What could be better? We have to help people awaken. We have to get involved. So please share all of this information that I share. Keep going to my social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook. I've got an author page there on Facebook, YouTube. Like, subscribe, share it, pass it on, leave some positive comments. We've got to build some positive momentum. Negative momentum is building very strong, and the positive momentum is staying very quiet. We need to build more positive momentum. So we can do that. We can do that together. And make sure that you go to www.expansionmastery.com. I have got a special going on my book, Expansion Mastery, A Practical Guide to Living a Fully Engaged Life. I discounted it by 75% off the cover price, so you can get a signed copy for $5. That way, you can surely afford it. I'm giving these things away, and that way you have a sensible, practical guidebook on how to get started with the consciousness shift. At $5, get some for your friends, your family, anybody you love and care about so they can start doing it. Work together with them on the challenges that I present in the book. Grab the Appreciation Mastery Program, the Breath Bridge Program if you're having trouble going from your external world to your inner world for meditation or even meditative practices. I'm giving you the tools. I'm doing everything I can. I need your help. Back me up. Jump on board. Let's get this stuff out there. I need you to share this material, and I need you to start engaging those practices just like I have and continue to do. Together, we can make heaven on earth. Together, we can attain a state of unity, of human harmony, true human harmony. Think about that. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in all of your practices as well as your life. Take care.